like not next week because I'm not going to be on the call next week. Somebody's got to run this call, and I'm going to bring HomeBot in to show you some of the new features HomeBot's got. You all got your API keys for HomeBot. New feature in Pulse will work, but uh, the week after that, maybe Mary Jo, why don't I have you like maybe demonstrate or show the big purple dot system for everybody so they can see what we've been working on and what we're going to be deploying here pretty quick. But like I said, not next week because maybe the week after we'll plan on that. So let's put a pin in that so you can remind me. Ryan, did you go to that closing? Did you go to Fleming's closing or did you just traffic?
No, yeah, I bailed on it because the roads were so gnarly. So sorry for my
Oh, no
delay.
worries. No worries. Go ahead. You're up.
Um, I am grateful. I am grateful just for some funny giggles with Hudson. He's like getting to that point where he can, like understand there's another like basically his dad in front of him. And like he just like you like yell his name across the room and I'll look at you and just go like smile all of a sudden. It's like, how could you not be happy after that? It's really fun. Um, Let's see. In terms of numbers, I've been super low on leads. Unfortunately, I've only gotten like one lead in the last week. But got some good couple face to faces. Um, got a couple good LOA interviews going on. So hopefully, I can find somebody here and put my efforts back into doing some sales stuff.
Right on, thanks. I'm not going to call on Lori because she's got a little baby in her lap. So let's talk about what I brought up on the call or on the video that I sent out yesterday, which is it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. This came out at the MBA convention when I was there that everybody's pretty much expecting the rates to be like this. They're not going to be any, and if we get an improvement in rates, nobody can see a reason why that's going to happen anytime soon. I read Logan's blog post this morning in Housing Wire, and he said the same thing. He's not betting on an 8% market again, like we had, but he's not betting on a 6% market anytime soon either. And it's all going to be driven by what happens with unemployment. I don't think Superman's not coming to save us, I guess is the message. And so um, it feels like, at least in my seat, it feels like we've been waiting since 2022 for rates to get a lot better so that we can do all of these refis. And we got a taste of it. Everybody got some refinance business opportunities, and we closed almost 28 million last month, which is the best month of the year. But we still have to produce. We all need to produce, and we all need to have production. And so thinking about the strategies that we could employ, what are we going to do? And a couple of things that I came up with, but I want this to be more be open forum, is focusing on potential cash out refinance opportunities for debt consolidation, right? Which is a big, and you're going to have to dig them up. Like you're going to have to, that involves you talking to everybody in your database about what's, making sure that because now would be a really good time, I think, to be contacting your clients that you have been teeing up for refinances and letting them know what's going on, because not talking to them, not communicating with them would be a mistake because you think you have nothing to say and you do have something to say. And it's like, hey, let me give you an update as to what's going on. And then it gives you a great opportunity, I think, to talk about possible debt consolidation, refinance opportunities that could dramatically, we know that that works. We know that it dramatically improves a monthly cash flow situation. I'm not sure because of just not doing this anymore, but I saw Chris did a couple, and I'm not sure who else did this, but Chris did a couple closings last month, maybe more than a couple, where he did a refinance transaction with a 1.0 buy down. So would like to maybe have you share how you did that and how you structure that and what situations that can apply in. And then from a purchase perspective, I do think that um, Ryan and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, that the realtors are like, yeah, yeah, I know all about buy downs, but the clients don't get it. And the clients, when you bring it up to a client, they're like, okay, now what is this? They don't understand what it means. And so I'm not sure what the right strategy is. I think that I'd love it if you could just do a video on social media and explain 2-1 buy downs and get buried with leads. I don't think that's going to happen either. I think it's taking a look at that pre-approval pipeline and making sure that people understand what the opportunity is with those buy downs and how it works, and maybe doing another demonstration with them, get them on a Zoom call and walk through a breakdown or a TCA, however you're demonstrating it, and showing them how it works, because it makes things extremely affordable. And with a slow moving real estate market and inventory rising, the opportunity exists. So let's start with Chris. Chris, do you want to explain how, because I don't understand how you do that refinance with the 1.0 buy down. I've never seen that before. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. And to your point, I got a couple leads last week and just some younger people that are like, yeah, this is like the best. I feel like this is the best time to buy that I've seen in a while because homes are sitting. And this one couple was like, yeah, we've identified 20 homes that we like. I was like, when's the last time that happened? And they were still available, right? So
here's what's going to be annoying is they're going to really take their time.
well, yeah,
the
shitty part.
They're going to be like, well, we're thinking about it, and like it'll drive you crazy because you're used to people finding a house going, we got to make an offer, and they won't do that. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and then you just talk about the 2-1 buy down and how like it's basically almost a given these days with homes just sitting. So here, I'll share my screen. So first of all, you have to lock PHH or Planet, but I just found out you can do new res too now, by the way, on this borrower funded 1.0 buy down. I know some of y'all use the ZAB, so I don't know how you, go ahead.
You can do it on Penny.
Oh, sweet.
I think you can do it on Penny, but it has to be Freddie, not Fannie, I think. So check that guideline.
And I've been mainly going Freddie just because I'm getting PIWs mainly on Freddie than Fannie. So just everyone make sure you run both.
Do we have a investor matrix that's getting updated?
I told Kelly to update it yesterday, so but I don't know.
I'm not seeing your screen.
Oh, I haven't shared it yet.
There you go.
Okay. So I helped these clients last year. When did they close? Maybe like September or something. So you got to time it. You got to be like months 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 roughly, because that 1.0 buy down is going to be cheaper due to lower rate and loan amount than the 2-1 was, right? So after that, it's pretty much not really worth it. But yeah, so I showed them their current loan payoff, not including the 1.0 buy down, and then just showed them a couple options with refinance, just regular.
Why are you saying by November 1st on here?
Because this was I locked in this 930. Because after that they'd have less funds, right? In the 2-1 buy down refund.
Oh, so they did it. Okay, I get it. They did it.
They had a 2-1 buy down. Yeah, they had a 2-1 buy down. So right, it goes towards the loan balance, right? But when you show them like, hey, look, you're increasing your loan by $2,000, but you're skipping a payment and getting your escrow refund back, like, it's actually much less. So I kind of talked to them about how if they're really worried about their loan balance going up here, just take your skip payment, checkbook benefits, take your skip payment and your escrow refund check and throw it back to the principal, and you'll be caught up, and you'll get a 5% rate for the next 12 months. And then I show them the break even point, and so it's a no brainer. So, yep, I show so this one was, like pretty close, right? So then the refund was $2,900 and the 1.0 buy down cost was $33.
And then you're just building it into the loan amount.
Yeah.
That's the payoff.
That's what we do on the ZAB, right? But I don't know if you could see the numbers as well on the ZAB, right? But yeah, I mean, worst case, like they don't get a refinance, but they locked in 6.125 rather than being greedy like some of our clients did the last 45 days, and like I want to wait till they get to 5.5, and now they fucking missed the boat, and who knows how long you're gonna wait. So the ones that listen to us, or me at least, were benefited.
Well, and that's a really
worst case, they're gonna lock in 6.1 rather than get stuck with 7.1 in a year, right? Or they locked in 6. So, and they're using their original. I frame it like you're using the original seller credit again, if you will, right? I mean, they are.
Right, you're right.
So I know it looks weird, it pays down the loan amount, but it's still like a credit towards a refi. When you roll everything into the loan, it's all the same, right?
Well, I think it's important to remember, we would like our clients to be working towards a mortgage freedom point at some point in their lives. We would like all of that. We would love it if they could follow that and they could, but the fact of the matter is American consumers are monthly payment driven. Always have been, always will be. And it used to drive me crazy when I was originating and I would do a nice cash out refi for a customer, consolidate all their debt, pay off everything, pick up $1,000 a month in cash flow. And 2 years later, they call me because they needed to do it again because they went and bought a couple of cars after they paid off their old cars. And I was like, what happened? Why did you do this? I was like, well, we really needed the new cars. And so people aren't, you can't, I mean, our job is to educate them and do what's in their best interest. And we can't tell them, well, look, I'm not going to refinance you because you're real responsible with your money. We're never going to say that, right? So, and not that that's being irresponsible. I get it. People want to buy a new car. And so everybody wants cool new stuff. So, but not having the conversation with them about how this works, they are always going to be monthly payment driven. Tom Ward drilled that into us years ago at Majestic is people buy based on the monthly payment. That's why you see advertising for cars based, on TV. Here's your monthly payment on this car. And so that makes everybody like, oh, I can afford that. And that's what people do. So they don't think about the cost, the interest. Like we can't even do that. We can't go like, you can get this house for $3,000 a month. We can't do that. It's illegal for us to do that. It's a CFPB violation or a marketing violation or whatever, compliance violation. But what kind of feedback do you get, Chris, from the client when they see it?
Everyone I showed were like, yeah, let's do it. 'Cause, yeah, if you refinance now, like, okay, you save $100 and you're 6-1 for the next 12 months. Like, doesn't make sense, but let's just hedge and maybe we get lucky in 12 months before this goes up to 6 and you can lock in the 5. And you save another $366 a month from what you're about to start paying. And your closing costs are like $1,500. They're like, yep, sounds good to me. Because yeah, they
I'm guessing if you tried to do this as a 2-1 buy down, it turns into, because this was then refinanced as a rate. This is a rate and term, right?
Yeah, there's no way you could do another 2-1. It would just, I don't think the math would work.
Was it turned into a cash out?
No, their
No,
loan amount
it
would just
doesn't.
go up drastically. The only way you could do that is if like you somehow got lucky and refinanced someone within like at like month 6 or 7 and they had a decent chunk. Then I guess you could do another 2-1, but you could do a 1-1. I mean, that gives them 2 years, but
Can
that's
we
the
do 1-1s?
cost. What's up, bud?
Can we do 1 years or 1-1s?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I just didn't think we had that option in Loan Pass.
I didn't either. I didn't think 1-1. How do you mean they have
It's
they have
2
2
years
years
of
at
2 years of
5%
1.
and then they go to 6?
Yeah. 2 years at 1% lower. It should be in there. I mean, all the investors allow it for sure.
Nice. Anybody
Yeah,
have any
and then
questions?
I just
No,
showed them, worse. I mean, there's no harm in doing this, right? Because even if you get stuck with 6%, you're still going to save $50,000 in 10 years. I mean, why wouldn't you do it? So everyone's been really happy about it, and I don't know, I closed 14 deals, so it worked.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why you ripped out so many deals. Like it's like such an easy sell.
I think I had
Just so easy. Like it's like because like I was selling it a different way. I was like, oh look, your closing costs are covered. And I think people just like cared less about that. They're like, okay, like whatever. And like the urgency wasn't there. But like
That's my
now,
point, is that we think cost benefit and they think monthly payment.
yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that are very like loan amount sensitive too, Like why is my loan amount going up $6,000, right? And you have to like, okay, talk about that. But
yeah, 3,100, your refund checks 2,000, that's 5. You're like basically back to where you are.
yeah.
People give me that feedback. You can plug in the manual stuff here and show them.
But at our current level of rate, right, 7+, we're not going to be able to take advantage of this opportunity at this strategy, right?
No,
Correct.
not at all.
Correct. No.
Yeah, not at all. And these were like a lot of these that I was able to do were home ready. I went through and was like, oh, I can like
Yeah.
take one borrower's income off and use the other and be okay. So I did a lot of work to see if I could go home ready. Cause yeah, non-home ready was like 6.5, maybe was the best we saw, maybe 6.3 or something.
Are we gonna have the ability to do D1C again soon with work
I've
number?
been getting D1Cs
Oh, you have?
on LP.
Yeah,
But
we'll have it soon
I
with
thought
it.
we
We'll have
couldn't
it soon
get-
with Fannie. There was a big hang up in Fannie giving us some credentials that we couldn't even get a couple of our loans
Oh,
purchased
okay.
until we got
'Cause
these credentials. So we should
G's
have it.
strategy of like just lowering the income is like the best ever. Like where you just like take their income and cut it in half and then you get D1C and all of a sudden you're home possible.
Mm-hmm.
Wicked smart.
I did that too with
Yeah.
the client.
I know.
Yeah, he showed like he made like 110,000 year to date, and I just threw in like 103,000. It was like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, sweet. On LP though,
It's great.
sometimes you gotta like know the rules and just
It's true,
not
dude.
getting illegal, just bending the rules.
You live in the gray area, man.
What about debt consolidation opportunities? Does anybody have any ideas about how to talk about that? Or do you feel like you beat the hell out of it and people just aren't there?
What did you
Man,
say?
I've tried. It's just those cash out rates are just terrible, dude. Like, I
Yeah.
think you'd have to have someone that's in real big trouble to like do it, like real bad.
I'm doing one right now and they're not in big trouble by any means. It's just with where the rates are. I made him go through because we're locked in and everything's good to go and we're doing the cash out. I'm putting him into another FHA loan just because his credit scores are so bad. And so we just kind of talked through, it's like, here's why this makes sense. The rate on the refi is 6.75. We're paying off a Chaffa first and second, and then we're wiping out at minimum $45,000 worth of debt. But I made him, he was thinking about canceling the loan yesterday. He's like, well, I'm just thinking, and I'm like, okay, talk me through that. He's like, well, maybe I need a HELOC. And I'm like, one, you're probably not going to qualify for a HELOC because your credit's a 630. Like your HELOC rate's going to be like 15%. And so I made him go through and I was like, okay,
If
what's
you
the
can get
credit
it.
card? Pardon?
Yeah. If they can
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, if
with
they can
that
get it. And
score.
so his Chase credit card is 25%, Amex is 30, another Chase is 23.9, a motorcycle loan's 9.5, Capital One's 25, another Capital One's 27, and another one is 28.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
like, we're saving him $1,500 per month in cash flow. There's still going to be over 20% equity in the property because we don't need to max it out, and the house appraised for way higher than what we were thinking. And so the plan is just we'll refinance again next year because even if the rate's the same at 6.75, I can drop the mortgage insurance, which is another $135 savings. So those numbers make sense. I think the biggest thing with people is just showing, like being able to show examples for any cash out refis for debt consolidation that you guys have done. And just be like the credit score, like here's what you're like, talk about the mortgage interest savings on taxes. Like you're not getting any tax benefits to having 30% interest rate on your credit card. And you're not making any progress on that either. Even, I mean, they only owe like, none of the cards are more than 10 grand. So it's like, it's not even that much and like comparatively what we've seen in the past, but when you're only paying the minimum and the rate's 30%, like you're never going to get ahead on that.
What's his current rate, and what was it, a FHA or conventional?
We're doing, the original loan was an FHA loan, and it was like 4.5 or something, 4.25.
That's not too bad. It's like when the people are like sub 3 or 3.5, you're like, fuck, like going up to 7, it's just hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, I would beat the hell out of that $1,500 a month savings to like, I'd like, dude, listen to me. You're going to save $18,000 this year in the next 12 months, $18,000 in your pocket. That is
And I
big
think
money.
too, I saw somebody put up, I think it was Ryan maybe that posted something about paying your debt, paying extra to the mortgage or something. Was that you, Ryan?
That
On
was me.
social? So it's like, I have clients ask me that question a lot, especially in situations like this where we're saving 1,500. And the first thing that I'll tell them to do instead is it's like, if you have any debt, that needs to go away first. Then I would be making sure that you're maxing out your 401ks every year. And if that's done, I'd make sure you have at least 3 months, preferably 12 of emergency savings. And then, and only then, would I start paying down the mortgage, because mortgage debt is good debt. Like you need to take care of all this other stuff over here. Like you need to live somewhere. And so I think you just need to shift the conversation a little bit. I think it's important to show them like, yeah, here's the cost benefit of paying your mortgage down faster and the interest savings and all that stuff. But most of the clients we're talking to aren't gonna stay in those houses, and people are in shitty positions with their savings and credit and all that stuff, and if your clients don't have a 401k and they've got some kids, like, they're screwed. Like, you need to be putting money there, not trying to pay down your mortgage, like, I don't think it makes sense to do that. I think you need to make sure that
It absolutely does not make sense. to
if
do
you
that.
lose your job, that you can still take care of your family.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Anybody else on refis? So I want to flip to purchases here.
I missed the end of Chris's because someone was at the door, but Chris's presentation, but I'll watch the recording. One thing that I feel like has been helpful, and I think maybe I came in at the end of you guys possibly talking about this, is I've been calling it like a therapeutic refi, like a two-step refi process. So
I love
Jay
that.
knows because he was around working with me like in the fall. We did some cash out refinances, that type of savings, $1,500, $2,000, paying off a bunch of stuff. People going from like the 3s to the 7s, high 7s even. And try and do it with no cost, no points, very little fees. And just tell them this is a two-step process. And it worked out, those people that did that then refinanced again in July or August or September this year. And ended up, of course, we saved them $2,000 on the first refi, maybe another 300 or 400 because we're getting rid of MI. Some of them did FHA loans, cash out to like 70% LTV, just because where the scores were, the conventional rates were way out there. And it's like, yeah, you're adding mortgage insurance, but this is still the true savings. And then we'll do a refinance out of FHA into conventional as soon as we can. So that worked really well. And then I did.
So I
think
guess
3 or
that's a
4
big one right there. That's a big takeaway, everybody, especially the newer guys. A cash out refi on an FHA loan, don't just not show it because they already have a conventional. That is a really powerful option for a cash out. Because you're not
Yeah,
going to
I
see
mean,
the
the rate
LLPA.
Because the
difference is
rates are
like,
so much better, right, G and Jack?
yeah, the rates.
Well, and
and
there's no
we have like a
LLPAs,
high
right?
balance person, right? Too, like a loan at that level, conventional cash out. I mean, it's like you're paying 4 points for an 8% rate last fall. And so
Right.
it wasn't even an option. Like I showed it to them just to show it, but it's like, this is what you should do, you know? So
It's
that
like a
worked well. And then I
0.%
took some of
difference.
those and a couple were purchases, actually, just examples. Did some videos around like unlocking, like a strategic, move up analysis where people were thinking that they couldn't move up because they had this great rate, but then they also had all this other debt. So, instead of putting down 300,000 of equity on the next house, they put down 20% and used the rest to pay off the debt. And then now when you look at their net monthly payments, this new house, even though the mortgage payment is way more than what it was before, you got rid of all the other debt, and maybe they're now living in this new dream house for $500 less a month than what they were spending before in minimum payments. So I did a couple videos on that, couple refi ones, couple purchase ones, and I had the website person that I work with just do like a landing page posting all those. And then I put a QR code in like my newsletters that go out every month to my clients with that QR code that takes them there. And, it generates some conversations.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah, whenever
Really
I have
good.
a move up client and I pull credit, I always will show them an option like, hey, have you guys thought? Because you do the goals call. They're like, yeah, we want to. I'll ask, you want to put all your down payment, your net proceeds down there? Yep. Then I'll look at their credit report and I'm like, and then I'll show them an option. Like, you sure you guys want to do that? Here's 20% down, but paying all your debt off. And then usually they'll go that route. So
100%
don't
of the
just be a
time.
rate quoter. You got to be an advisor.
Excellent. So what else can we do to get the message out on buy downs for purchase buyers? I'm like I said, it'd be nice if you could just do a few social media videos on the subject, maybe similar, maybe take a strategy similar to what Giuseppe you talked about on those transactions and explain to people the benefits, especially people that are they're not homeowners now, or even if they are homeowner now and they got to move up. Dean said this the other day, and it's really true. 8% interest rates, 10% interest rates, 12% interest rates. People still have to buy houses. They just do because things happen in people's lives. My dad bought a house because he had to move, and he paid some, I can't remember, he was in the teens. He was one of those guys. He got rates in the teens. He didn't want to move. He had to move. And so it wasn't like I think too often we base this on I'm going to buy a house if if I can get a good interest rate. And that's not the decision making process that for most people make. There's like I have to buy a house. I mean, when Lori wanted us to buy a house, it was because like we had a baby and we had another one coming, and she's like, I want a house. And so we were buying a house. That's just how it works. And so I'm just trying to figure out what else, because like I said, I don't want to sit back and go like, well, as soon as rates gets better, we've got to go on the
Well-
offensive. You all need production. We all need, the company needs production. I know your families need you to produce. So what else can we do to get that message out to realtors? What else can we do to like, because I think the realtors get the buy down thing. Although I don't know if they really appreciate the value of it. I'm just trying to figure out, is there a strategy that you can employ with real estate agents that you
so-
have a good relationship with to go, come on, let's meet and let's talk about how we're going to get this message out to everybody you know.
And I think that's the thing, is like reinvigorating them, letting them know this is not common knowledge, like reminding them of that. Because like I saw this like LO that like posted a story about this like workshop he was doing, this guy from Florida, and he was like, in a buyer's market, you have to convince the buyers why right now is a good time to buy, right? And like I mean, honestly, none of us are going to be direct to consumer. Let's be honest. We get our leads from realtors. Like we have to have them make sure that they're pumping out the information. And to me, like I feel like just reminding them of that, text messages, like, wait, hey, do you want me to create any TCAs for you? Like putting it out in your email newsletters, like here's 3 ways I think you can blast that information, because I think if we can continue to remind them that our clients need to know this stuff, and to remind them that like we can even make it catchy, like, hey, do you want a 2% lower rate right now? Right? Like just hook them. And I think if we can get our realtors to do that, that's how we're going to get more, like, that's how we're going to get more people going. That's my opinion, at least. And so I'm going to really pump this out to realtors over the next few weeks.
And,
Of like, hey,
Well, that's what I wanted to try to get on this call, was get a commitment from all of you to say like, okay, so how many, if it's realtors that, if I think Brian, you're right, we're not going to ever be direct consumer. So, or direct to consumer. So how many real estate agents can you put this information in front of between now and Christmas? Because we need to get everybody excited about the opportunity. I do think it is an excellent time to be in the market to buy a home, because of the people completely underestimate the value of a house that's been sitting on the market for over 60 days. It's like, shit, I can make a sweet deal on this house. And because you're in like that, you can wait for the right deal to come to you. And but yeah, nobody likes to hear 7%, but everybody's okay with 5. And or you know, and if in a situation, what's the biggest how big of a concession can you get on an FHA loan with 3.5% down from the seller?
6, I think.
6%. Yeah, it's
So
6.
you could do 3-2-1 on an
Yeah.
FHA loan.
Yeah.
So that's something nobody talks about. So if the interest rate on an FHA loan is right now 6.5 or 6 3/4, and you can start at 3.5 or 3 3/4, like, oh my God, I don't even look at the FHA loan with 10% down, right? I was like, I might as well just do it, right?
That's a good
And get
point. Yeah.
lower monthly payment. I guess with 10%, you can probably pay for a 3-2-1, can't you?
On a
At
conventional, yeah.
10%?
Yeah.
Yeah. So from the
The
seller,
rate's
I mean,
still gonna be better on
so-
the FHA.
what's that?
Dude, I ran
The
one
rate
for
will
a
be
client
better
that
on the FHA loan.
725 credit, and an FHA was better for him the other day.
Mhm.
With the TCA, you know that? Like,
Yeah, dude, like
12
we were
month
looking at
break-even.
conventional and FHA. It's like, dude, it's like 740 is almost the tipping point now.
used to
For
be 680.
I know.
Yeah, depends first time home buyer,
Right.
right, versus not, what their income is, if they're within those limits, but yeah, it's moving higher. You know, I think every single discovery call now, you have to start talking about the buy down right up front, because that's what excites people. And like wise now. I'm so glad you're calling because now it's like such a great time, right? Because no one, and they're like, wait, what? Rates have moved up. It's such a great time. And they're like, what? And
That's
so
a
you can
really good
get
way.
into that.
Wait, that's an excellent strategy right there to start the discovery call off with. That's a really good strategy right there because that would really make them go, what, really? And then, dude, you're providing hope, and people love to work with a guy that gives them hope.
And then every single Zoom meeting that I'm doing, right? Like I'm not just showing them like, here's what you wanted to do. Like everything is leading to that buy down conversation right now. And no one, like Ryan said, like people are like, wait, what? What is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Even if they've gotten like rate quotes, which is kind of wild. Like
Yeah.
people will just show them like a low rate. And I'm like, have they show you anything else? No. Like, what?
I think
And then you
like
can
with-
show them, there's TCAs like buy now versus later, right? Where you can show I'm playing around with a few just to, I mean, I've done a bunch of videos on them. And one thing on videos, like I don't do fun videos like Ryan that are gonna get like clicked on, right? So like mine are stored in YouTube and like you can, if you look at my YouTube page, some of them have hundreds of views and some of them have like 3 views. And the ones that have hundreds is because somehow I incorporate them into my email signatures. Like, right, like here are the videos of the hottest topics right now in lending, and it could be buy down or it could be, bidding up the price in 2021 and how you can cover that, and those are the ones that, just doing the video for me hasn't been like, I feel like I put a lot into the videos and there's good information. I'm kind of like the educator type loan officer, but they're not like exciting. Like people aren't going to like watch. Plus, I don't really do like the short format stuff. And so you got to like, I've now incorporated them into like the pre-approval package and lender platform, marketing platform. And just you have to point people to them. I have to point people to them and then they get watched. And then they have the effect that I want to have. So I don't know if that helps anyone, but.
I'll say one thing. I started after having success with the 1.0 buy down refinances, I've started incorporating in my purchases and say, hey, we'll do the 2-1 buy down, and then if we get lucky in 12 months, month 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, from when you close, here's what we're going to do. And I think that has helped people kind of get excited as well about, like Giuseppe said, I got to use the therapeutic 2-step process. Buy now the 2-1 buy down, and a year from now we'll do another 1.0, and you'll just keep lowering your rate. We'll just try to keep getting.
Well, the other thing about taking somebody who you wouldn't normally take to FHA in this strategy is that you perfectly tee them up for the rate and term refi with no MI in the future, right? Like, and an easy rate and term refi with no MI in the future. So I love that idea of calling it maybe therapeutic mortgage process. Let me tell you what I mean by that and why I'm so glad you called today, because it's a great time to buy. And we have some excellent strategies for you to take advantage of. This is cool. I love this conversation because we're talking about something that people aren't talking about. And if you can be excited, you have to be excited when you're talking to these realtors. And you have to be like, dude, we just figured something out on a sales call today that you're going to want to hear about. And I need to be able to explain it to you so that I can help you explain it to your clients, and then I can help explain it to your clients as well. Go ahead, Jacqueline, you've got your hand up.
So what I've been doing with my clients or my agents who have listings that have been sitting for a little while is starting to put together like the mortgage coach presentations for like different scenarios that I think are going to be like the most cost effective for the client or potential buyers, and just recording a loom and then posting it to social, tagging the agent with the listing so that people can go and see, like, here's the specific house, here's why you shouldn't wait to buy. Here's the opportunity here of like, you can ask for this kind of a concession and those kinds of things. So just giving the agent more strategy that they can push out on their own social media, because then they see you providing that extra value, because then you're going to see all the hits on it. So I've got 2 or 3 agents who've had properties that have been sitting for like 60 days. And so I keep telling them, I'm like, before you do a price drops, tell me what they want a price drop to, and then I'll use that money to get a better rate for the client, because that's going to be a bigger difference and be a better deal maker than just dropping the price 10 grand. So just getting
let
in
me
front of
ask
your
you-
agents that way.
Let me ask you a question about the listings. Does the listing, I mean, it's a great thing to be able to share with a realtor. Does it result though in you, are you just giving the listing agent an opportunity? Because like if the buyer shows up and they already got a pre-approval with another lender, aren't they just going to go, in most cases, go to their current lender and go like, can you do this? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to be able to do what what the strategy that you shared.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering, has anybody done this and gotten the buyer out of it?
I have once or twice, but not very consistently. It's more the value add to the agent and then them, because a lot of times that house that they're trying to sell is my buyer. And we need to sell that house.
I'm wondering if, I think it goes back to what Ryan said. It's about talking to that buyer's agent that you're working with now and going, let's look at some of the properties that your buyers are looking at. And let's see how long they've been on the market. And then let me show you something about what they can do. Like, this is how you can position this, because you obviously the listing but if the listing's been sitting there for 2 months, they're gonna do a price drop. They're gonna do something, right? Like, they're not gonna just sit there unless they pull it off the market. And they know, and the listing agent knows they've got to figure out a way, because that's what I think, Ryan, you said, I think you told me that the realtors that you're talking to are like, I have no idea what to say to my clients with the listing.
Yeah, there's
One
a
of my
lot.
agents just got fired yesterday because the seller thinks that it's her fault that the house hasn't sold yet.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I'm kind of doing a two-touch right now, calling all these agents, like, what's your biggest issue? And then finding out their issues, kind of hearing how some people are overcoming it, and then doing a webinar. And they're all saying the same thing, right? They're all like, my listings are sitting and it's hard to manage expectations. And there's some people that are really successful at that. So anyways, could be, I'll share it with you guys, but I think it's be cool for us to like help them with that, because yeah, some people are like, I feel like a failure. I've got 5 listings,
Yeah.
I'm selling. I was like a therapist. Like, it's okay, don't worry.
Well, and this goes back to realtors are, I don't know if they're famous for it, but realtors have a bad habit of taking a listing at a price they know it's not going to sell for to get the listing.
Yep.
Instead of going, yeah, I'm not going to list your house for that much. Go ahead and work with another agent. Because very few agents have the guts to do that.
So
I know, because I'm married to one. She would never do that. She would never say, sorry, I'm not taking your listing. And so I don't know if Lori's listening or not, but she's gonna give me shit about this later.
Or make sure that they have a written agreement with the seller. Like, all right, if it's 2 weeks and it's, then you go down to my price. And that's the rule. Oh, now she's back on.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
I'm
Like one
muted.
agent
muted, Lori.
that I talked to was like, yeah, like I'll tell him like, okay, you can go with that other agent that said you could sell your house, but you should have it in a written agreement that if you guys don't sell it at that price and you're going to price drop, that you have to use me. And it's kind of like a good little one-liner. I was like, that's actually pretty
That's
good.
a good line.
Yeah.
That's a good line. I like that. Yeah, it's the same thing. Why do you want to work with a seller who's you're going to do a bunch of work and then not get paid? It's the same thing, right? It's pre-approving a buyer that doesn't use you. It's the same kind of work. Probably more, a lot more. So we have 7 weeks and 5 days left between now and the end of the year. So that gives you essentially 40 days that you could talk to a buyer's agent. You can talk to 40 buyer's agents between now and the end of the year and have this conversation about how do we get a buy down? How do I help you explain to your clients how these buy downs work? Because people, if they knew, would be a lot more excited to make an offer. And I can't wait to show you how it works. And because most of the buyer's agents, they say they get it's like, yeah, I know. They don't really get, I've never met a realtor that understands financing at any kind of level. The only realtor I ever worked with that had a really good handle on it was Billy Hallex. Most realtors don't get financing at all. They just like, is it going to close? Are we going to close? And so that's their thing. And so that's the challenge is, because we all have to do, again, I'm going back to what I said earlier, Superman's not coming to save us, and Alan Greenspan doesn't run the Fed anymore. So we're not going to see any significant changes in Fed policy that's going to make a big difference in long-term interest rates. So we better go figure out a way to get in front of as many people as we can. I know we can win with this strategy, but it's going to be belly to belly and voice to voice and face to face with your realtor partners talking about this strategy and getting this in front of them. Unless somebody's got a better idea, let's go out and talk to 40 realtors between now and the end of the year and have that conversation. You don't have to do 40 a day, but it's one a day, right? Like you can have this conversation once a day for the rest of the year and really set yourself up for the rest of this year and for the first quarter. Any,
I know we're a little bit over. Does anyone have a couple minutes to give me some feedback on a TCA from last night?
Yeah.
We can do a separate Zoom, but
Do it, man.
let's do it
Huh?
now.
I'm gonna coach you
Okay.
up.
yeah, light me up, dude. So this is a Chaffa buyer,
Oh, look at that little girl.
and they're trying to, these were their numbers, right? The original numbers. But the problem is they want like a $3,500 payment, but they said they can stretch this. And so then the conversation come up, of course, should we wait for rates to move lower? And so this is kind of what I built out, but I feel like it's not like super smooth, but I don't know, maybe it's fine. And so I told them, if you buy now and you refinance, let's say in a year when rates drop 1%, right, you're going to get that payment that you want. And you're still, you're going to borrow 490 at the end of the day. But if you wait a year and let's say we have 4% appreciation, Colorado average, right? Even if rates drop to 1%, you're still not going to get the payment that you want. It's going to be actually pretty close to the payment you can get now, but you have to borrow $20,000 more, right? Because the home is costing you $20,000 more. And then I think what kind of lit their eyes up is, just telling the story. It wasn't that long ago, right? It was not 24 months ago, maybe 30 months ago that people were doing like bidding up the price. And those of us that were doing loans then, like for a while, for like 2 years, 10% bid up was the norm, right? But that's a little extreme for people to think about that in this market. So I just showed them, what if it becomes a very competitive market by the time you want to buy? Let's say rates are 5%, 5.5%, but now you have to bid up the price 5%. You have to cover an appraisal gap. So we kind of touch on that. Now, all of a sudden, instead of buying a home for $13,000, you need like $40,000. And if you can't save $40,000 and you're not willing to put it all down, you won't even be part of the conversation. Like you won't even be able to make an offer in that type of a market. And they're like, oh, shit. I feel like just showing the higher price, that they may pay for a home doesn't really affect the numbers very much. But now if you're getting into a competitive situation where you're bidding up the price, you may have to cover that appraisal gap, then it really starts to add a dramatic difference to their bottom line and how much money.
Did
Like
you show this
today,
to a client? Did you show this to a client last night?
yeah.
How, and their response was like, what was it what you said? They were like, oh crap, we should buy now.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was this last section. I just don't know if I can reword it, if it makes any more sense. But I wish there was a fifth column, but sometimes on this. But yeah, I mean
I
that
would
was
change if in a competitive market, I would change that maybe to say in a hot real estate market,
okay.
in a hot market, or in a seller's market. How about that? When it turns back into a seller, if it's a seller's market, 5.5% rate, 5% bid up. That's a better way to say it, I think, in a
I
seller's
think
market.
just telling the people that are buying now, like everyone, when we show them like I show them like MBS Highway and go back to like a 1-year view and be like, see, a year ago rates were 8% and look how much they've moved. In 2 months, they were 6%. And then we all rejoiced. And then most of this year they were at 7%, above 7%. And so they kind of see how quickly they move. And, but I think this was the one that just got him to realize, like, if we don't buy now, if it turns into this kind of a market, like, there's no way they can save up $40,000. So they're just not going to be able to play in the game. So I don't know.
I like it.
Anything else?
I like it. You could change that refinance when rates drop column. You could click refinance in that option, and then you can show them zero cash flows and all that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just so you know, just so it's like the math looks better.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you bring $13,000 to your refi, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I walked through it, so we're kind of focusing on this, but yeah, that's helpful. Okay, well, that's
I mean, what
it
if people are
seems to
like,
have been helpful to them yesterday because they were, I mean, they filled out an application for like 650 or something and then wanted a $3,500 payment. So
Well, and I think Giuseppe, maybe there's an opportunity for this as well, is to go to your realtors with this presentation and go like, let me explain to you how we use this right now to help people move off of the sidelines. Tom Ward was a master at getting us to understand customers buy based on monthly payment. That's it. It isn't the rate, it's the monthly payment. Can I afford the payment? That's all they care about. Can I afford the payment? And then do I have enough cash to close? That's why on the refinance or on the purchase breakdown, I used to circle those two items. I was like, okay, so see this is your monthly payment. And then I go to the bottom, see this is how much money you need. And that was it. Like focus on those two things. And people are like, okay, thanks. Because that's all they care about. Those are the two things that matter. The rest of it is just noise. So 40 names between now and the end of the year. Who's up for it? Let's do it, right? Like, let's go, because we got nothing else to do, right? We don't have a lot of loans to work on. So let's talk to 40 realtors between now and the end of the year. And let's make that the goal, right? Just get a little tablet, put it on your desk and just go like, okay, like 40 names and start marking them out.